A quiet and peaceful environment is a perfect way to de stress. Maybe add in a nice face mask to the bunch, or a serial killer banging on your door. Horror movies are known to be tense and, ironically, pretty stressful to go through. Watching characters make questionable decisions that personally you wouldn't do in those tense moments can be pretty stress inducing. However, what if watching horror movies is actually a great way to de stress? As a college student, it is a rite of passage to deal with stress. It almost comes off naturally, having to meet with deadlines, projects, etc. So, finding ways to de stress is very important to keep life moving along. Alongside with that, I have done my own research on how movies, specifically horror movies and horror media, can be used as a tool to de stress. In a fast paced society, such as big cities or any other kind of fast paced job, it's natural that we experience stress. There is an overflow of things that cause us to feel stress, such as coming over challenges and trying to meet expectations. So it's only right that we also have the tools to de stress. Despite how it may seem, watching horror movies is actually a pretty great way to alleviate stress, especially with friends. Being able to safely release these strong emotions like fear and anxiety through watching these movies can make all the difference in how we manage our stress and how we can actually control it. Stress seems only natural in high paced environments, such as health fields like nurses, doctors, emergency people. Journalism is also a pretty fast paced environment. Sales and even college courses can be pretty stressful and, and fast paced. Um, Although this may be suitable for some people, it's not for everyone. This kind of workload for this environment can be really stressful. And that is why I think that there should be an importance of surrounding stress management and also informing people with a variety of tools that they can use to help them manage that stress. According to the American Psychology Association, stress doesn't just stop when you clock out. Anyone who has a job is bound to be encountered with some form of stress, whether it's meeting a deadline or trying to keep up with expectations or even achieving something challenging. Um, However, it becomes a great problem once this stress is chronic. So, once stress is occurring and constant, that's when it can really affect not just your emotional health, but your physical well being. Chronic stress can cause many things such as obesity, depression, anxiety, insomnia, and so on. Another source is a blog post from Grand Rising. They understand that there is a positive to fast paced environments, but there are also many negatives that come along with it. Although these work environments can be great for technological and economic growth, there is also a great risk of mental health. Environments with really high stressors can increase feelings of stress, anxiety, and depression. However, there are many well known tactics to decrease stress, such as self care journaling or reducing screen time. However, it's always better to have options to choose from and determine which helps us the best. Author Kim Wong Shin from CNET shares the correlation between horror and anxiety and how it can help us de stress. The author shares how people who have anxiety in their daily lives have this thing called a fight or flight response, which is something that I think is pretty common amongst us. We all get a general idea of what it is. Um, but because there never is a real sense of danger, that this response never gets satisfied because of that. So when we watch horror movies, it can feel like a release of pent up tension um, once the movie is over. Horror movies can also be used as an escape in real life. Stress and anxiety can feel inescapable or never ending. So, horror movies can provide a sort of reassurance that not only is there an identifiable threat, but also there is an end to this, a definite end. Another source, David Robson from the BBC, explains how jump scares and horror can help soothe anxiety and stress. Um, Robson explains how horror stories can give us a sense of readiness for the uncertainty, kind of like serving us as preparation for dangers that we may encounter in real life. It gives us the opportunity to feel scared and be under pressure in a safe and controlled environment. In turn, this could help us grow resilient under stressful situations. Although the combination of horror and stress is pretty paradoxical, there might be a benefit from each that you might not even think of. Um, Author Hayden Johnson from Hero shares how engaging in horror media can help create bonds with friends and family. I've mentioned before the fight or flight response. However, there is a lesser known phenomenon called tend or befriend, where basically in this phenomenon, it determines how someone will react towards um, feeling threatened or in danger. So someone might have the tendency to comfort someone or to connect with others for protection and comfort. Personally, as a college student, I think it's really easy to feel stress and experience stress. Like I said earlier, we have to go through projects, exams, and deadlines. So they're all pretty. No, that mess up my video. We all have to, learn how to manage our stress in a healthy way. So even though the idea of watching horror movies can be pretty stressful, I find it to be a sort of release, especially for those emotions such as fear and anxiety. Being able to express those, especially when watching media such as horror movies, is a great way for those emotions to be released. And also when I'm watching with friends, it also helps me maintain a bond with them, but also kind of create a stronger one. In conclusion, during times of stress or high emotions, it's great to have options when trying to manage them. And it's important to know which is the most effective for ourselves. Now, what horror saga is on your next watch list? Thank you.